Yes, 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 yes! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of It's Not That Deep, Bro! And we're back.
Episode 31.
Episode 31.
As always, coming in strong, Martin. Thank you for that introduction.
You know I'm ready.
And welcome to episode 31 of It's Not That Deep, Bro. How we feeling today, Martin?
You know, fantastic. How you feeling?
You are radiating a positive energy today.
That's right.
I'm with it. I'm here for
Hit it.
I'm good too. You know, I think we're going to crack out a few podcasts tonight, so this is going to be a bit of a long
Stretch.
for me and you tonight. But I'm here. I'm with it. The energy's good.
That's right.
Let's come
For
on.
all you listeners, we've got a new bit of tech. It's called the Randy Master 4000 Randomizer.
I need to find who made this script so we can start crediting them every show, because you're selling this thing like it's bloody going out of style.
Right. It's a good bit of tech. Whoever made this, thank you. I appreciate it.
Who did it last? Me. It was me, I think.
Yeah, I think it was you.
Yeah, so it's your turn to press the Randy Master 4000 and randomly select the film that we shall be watching this evening. So,
You guys ready?
with a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the film we are watching is
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands. What?
I
Tim
feel
Burton again?
that's what I feel. I think, Martin. I think we need to come up with a rule regarding directors.
Okay.
I think this is something.
A new rule. We're adding a new rule.
Yeah, because I think there will be possibly more rules to come as the podcast goes on, and we work out the kinks of selecting films from a 2000 entry list. You know, it's a lot to choose from, and there's going to be overlap. Like we did Goodfellas, and then we got The Departed the next week, and the next day or time we did a podcast, and it's too much. So
Okay.
I think
So you're saying
we should say there needs to be
no double directors?
well, no, there needs to be at least 10 episodes separating.
Each director?
Yeah,
Seems like a lot.
there's 2,000 films on the list, and no film directors made over. Well, okay, let's say each film director made 250 films, which no film director does. That's still quite a lot of people and different artistic minds at play. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
there's going to be a hell of a lot of overlap as we go through this list. So
So we're hitting it again. Is that what you're saying?
we're going to hit it again.
Okay.
And I'm going to rewind the countdown with a 5 and a 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the film we are watching is
The Big Sick,
The Big Sick.
2017. All I can tell you about this film is that a man called Judd Apatow is involved with the production of it, and he's famous for such films as The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, all those sorts of films. So it's a comedy.
It's a Okay, let's hit it.
Get yourself a copy of The Big Sick, and we'll see you on the other side.
Don't forget that comfy chair and that sweet juice.
It's not that deep, It's not that
So you're not going to get that normal intro that you normally get, guys, because Martin DeVerge is looking at his phone.
I was about to start. Literally, that's not when I go in. I know exactly when I go in.
Pull
So
it.
do not give me your shit already.
I mean,
Okay?
if you
The
want to...
start of the podcast will be now. Thank you, everybody, and welcome back to It's Not That Deep, bro. We've just finished watching...
And Martin can't take the heat.
Huh?
We've just started watching The Big Sick.
The Big Sick. Yeah, that's what I thought.
2017.
I can take all the heat.
It's very hot in this room. 2017, Judd Apatow. I shouldn't keep saying Judd Apatow because...
Why? He produced it, didn't he? No.
Exactly. He produced it and he didn't direct it. It was directed by another person. And I keep saying Judd Apatow because he's the reason that I know about this film. But really, what I should be saying is... Michael Showalter and his 2017 effort, The Big Sick. What did you think about that, Martin?
Oh, it was a great film. Very couple based. I thought at the start it was gonna be like a stand-up comedy. Like I thought that was the whole film, like a stand-up comedy, just going through one skit or going through a show, basically. You know, like them Netflix specials.
Oh yeah, you thought it was a stand-up special.
Yeah, basically. When I first heard his voice, I was like, what? I thought you said this film was about something completely different. And then it turns out that's his job, basically. It's how he earns money and how he meets the love of his life.
Emily.
Wow.
That's his name, Kamal.
Wow, bro. Well done.
Kamal and Emily.
Well done.
Kamal and Emily.
You're getting there. I appreciate the fact that you...
We're seeing a steep increase in my ability to recall characters' names.
Yes. Finally. Now we can get into the nitty-gritty of the films. What did you think?
I think you're right that this film is it's a slice of real life, is what it is. It's a film that's it's a human story. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a grand, sweeping, stupid statement to say, but it was like
a human story.
It's not, because like the Holy Mountain.
Everything else is just like an animal story.
Or, well, yeah, there are certainly other narratives that can be told, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but the nature of film allows one to move away from human stories and, you know, go into other... you could have a film about aliens, you can have a film about animals, you can have a film about dust, you can have a film about bacteria, you can have a film about leaves, you can have a film about bugs, you can have it like...
You can, but like, it's still done like by humans. Do you know what I mean? Like, every film is a human film.
Yeah, I said human story. All films are made by humans because films are creations of humans, but stories and narratives are not intrinsically created. The story of a leaf falling from a tree, you know, that's independent, just the story on its own and the concept. Narrative. And that, you know, that's what cinema is. It's telling stories using the equipment that we have, cameras and whatnot. And I think seeing Judd Apatow's previous... So if we're looking at Judd as a person...
But isn't a producer
so
different than a director?
Yeah, the producer definitely falls under it. You need to know a little bit about Judd Apatow, I think, for this film to make sense. So this film was produced by Judd Apatow's company, Apatow Productions. We saw the title card at the beginning. Yeah. And that's kind of like where he's at in his career right now. So if I just get like a little list of the films that it's Step Brothers, it's The Anchorman,
he's got a lot of funny films, basically.
Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin. But the ones that he's actually directed and wrote for, the list is a lot shorter.
Who are they?
So he's produced 42 films. And he has his fingers in like Bridesmaids, That's a film that he produced. Pee Wee's Big Holiday, Drill Bit Taylor, Year One, The 5-Year Engagement. Like
But
a lot
what
of
are the-
films that he has not so much involvement in, but writing. The films he's wrote are The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Pineapple Express, You Don't Mess with Zohan, This Is 40,
Wow.
Funny People.
Has he directed these films as well?
He wrote and directed all of them. So what those films have in common, that The Anchorman and Talladega Nights and Step Brothers kind of don't have in common, is that Knocked Up. Have you seen Knocked Up?
I feel like I have, but
Have you seen The 40-Year-Old Virgin?
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So if you compare 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up, not Knocked Up, I didn't mean to say that, Step Brothers. You
Mhm.
seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd say that Step Brothers is like a silly film.
Yeah. Very
Whereas
silly.
the 40-Year-Old Virgin has funny moments, but it's still telling like a story. Like Steve Carell's character in that film is in trouble.
Why?
Well,
He's a 40-year-old virgin.
oh yeah, that's like the premise of the whole thing. Like he is in a bad situation with his life
Yeah.
and doesn't
yeah.
really want to admit it.
No.
And it's his friends, or he doesn't even see them as friends. He just sees them as co-workers, but they are his friends, the people he works with.
Yeah.
Pull it out of him, make him admit it, and try to help him. And that is why the film's funny, because each of them has a different way of trying to help him, be it fucking Paul Rudd giving him a box of porn or them taking him to speed dating. And, it's a funny film. But then after that, you've got this film called Funny People, which is about Adam Sandler being a stand-up comedian and he gets cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Did they still? Are they making that fun? Is that like a funny film?
well, that's the thing. It's kind of
But
that-
it's sort of funny, but real life, like we just watched.
yeah. Knocked Up is the same deal. It's Seth Rogen and his mates are all living in this house, and they're trying to build a website that tells you exactly when actresses get naked in films. And he
Sounds about right.
he gets a girl pregnant.
Mhm.
Long and short of it. And the film is him having to come to terms with the fact that that website isn't going to be able to support this baby, and he has to become a real man, basically. Long and short of it.
Which is like,
Real life shit.
yeah, real life shit.
Yeah, so then
Human story, basically.
the spin-off to that, and it'll be and it's one of, I think, Apatow's most recently directed film is called This Is 40, and it's a spin-off to Knocked Up, and it's about the sister of the girl that Seth Rogen gets pregnant and her marriage and them turning 40. We spoke about it a little bit before when we found out that this was the film that we were going to watch. And again, that deals with Paul Rudd playing a guy who runs a record label, and the music that he's trying to promote simply isn't popular anymore. So
they need to get somebody new in.
he has to get over himself, and he actually owns the label, so it's just a matter of like having to shut the business down, like that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
if it doesn't go well.
Yeah, so but to do that, he has to kind of admit to himself that this thing that he loves isn't popular anymore and isn't a way to make money, which involves a lot of coming to terms with things on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I guess, and then I suppose I should probably mention The King of Staten Island, which came out last year. Which
Yeah,
I spoke
Pete
to.
Davidson.
Yeah, I've spoke to you a fair bit about that film, and it's Pete Davidson.
Definitely want to watch it.
For those of you that don't know, he's a comedian, would be the first thing to say. But I don't feel like it's out of order to say that his character, his persona, but then probably by definition himself is a anxious kind of person.
Mhm.
Like he openly talks about not enjoying his life, like having mental health problems.
Yeah.
I hate for it to be the first thing that comes up when you start talking about Pete Davidson. But his father died in 9/11, which is this whole
As a firefighter.
yeah, and that comes into this film, The King of Staten Island, which is Judd Apatow's latest. I said that about This Is 40. King of Staten Island is his most recent film, and it takes Pete's situation fairly literally. But again, what my point is to analysing Judd Apatow's output is that he is considered to be the king of this comedic world, like The Anchorman and Step Brothers and stuff like that. But the films that are at the heart of what he's trying to do, tell emotional stories, real life stories with
Comedic values in them.
yeah. That's. I'm glad you brought up the fact that this film is set very much in the stand-up comedy world.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Kamal staying in that hospital for so long. Oh,
Well, the reason
it's
that
a great
has
love
weight,
story.
yeah, the reason it has weight is because you can see what you get to see a little slice of what Emily and Kumail's life was like when everything was normal,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah, and then you sort of like see it after like
You see how
everything's
things have changed, yeah.
and it's like I was telling you through the film. If you there's a thing where I'm not sure where I saw it, but like if you talk to someone while they're in a coma, they sometimes get better, and you see that
It gets through to them.
Yeah, literally the
night before.
the night before he talks to her, and then next day she's up again.
Yeah, that was like that. I mean, that when you mentioned that whilst we were watching it, I said bring it up in the podcast because that is how. I mean, I've told you this off mic before, but the voice actor of Bugs Bunny, Mel Blanc, famously went into a coma, and apparently, you're gonna have to fact check me on this, people that are listening, but something to the effect of when he arose from the coma, he first spoke in Bugs's voice, and it was using the character of Bugs. Was like something for him to latch on to, because as you saw in this film, you know, when you come out of a coma, I imagine it's an incredibly disorientating experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because you've been in that coma for so long, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
yes,
You know what I mean, like you don't know what's happening.
so to hear something familiar like that is definitely going to help. And then there's this whole area that I find really interesting of like what happens when you're in the coma. Because there's like varying reports of some people I've read, they see nothing and it's just like whiteness or blackness or whatever, and there's no rumblings of thought or consciousness. But then other people describe like this dream experience, you know, like the whole thing is an active that they went somewhere else sort of thing. And I do very much believe that then element, if you're experiencing, I don't know if that's just a matter of memory, you know, if some people aren't remembering what they experienced or whatever, but I definitely think that elements from real life would then bleed into that dream kind of experience that you are happening whilst you're in the coma.
I mean, to say that like sometimes you see white, sometimes you see black. Do you think you know? I don't think you know, like, especially when you're asleep, you don't know the concept of time. Time's like a thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
you know what
time
I mean?
doesn't really exist.
Because you're in this like in your brain basically, and you're just trying to perceive everything that's happening.
Well, you
but
can't even like
you can't, because it's
even when I close my eyes, like I could not. It's not a color that you can define. It's a mixture of like black and white. But then I don't know. It's like it's definitely not just black. Like if you go onto Photoshop and fill a square with black, like it's not that.
No, not at all.
And it's not white either. So it's unique. It's a unique experience that can't be copied really.
No, but I guess but this is this is a like medically induced coma.
I wonder if there's a difference between what the experience is there, and it's actually quite
Obviously when you're in a coma it's because when you're not medically induced in a coma, you're
There's like a whole range of reasons you can end up in a coma.
yeah. So, but like when you're in a medically induced coma, they can bring you out of it, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna be better. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and then it's like how responsive are you going to be afterwards?
Yeah.
And stuff like
But
that.
when you're like in another type of coma, you just can't get up, or your brain's like, no, 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 your body's not ready.
Mm.
So we're just gonna keep you here for a bit.
And it was quite.
Either that, or while you're in that dream state, you just sort of like, I don't want to leave.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Your body's like, oh, you're good here. You're better in here than what you were outside. So you want to stay? And you're like, yeah, fuck
Natural comas are pretty fascinating, in my opinion. Like why they happen.
it. Really?
Yeah.
Why do they happen?
Well, I don't know. Like
I
that's
thought
why.
you would
That's why.
know.
Nah, that's why it's fascinating. I'm not going to be fascinated by something I
Oh.
know. That gets boring quick.
I thought you were saying that because you knew why comas happen.
No, but isn't it just crazy that you and then the fact that you can just wake up? There's like no what defines that when you wake up?
Who knows?
Who's deciding? You know.
Who knows?
But again, the fact that this film spends a lot of time, everything happens in this film how I pretty much expected it to happen. It's like watching real life.
yeah, like you're definitely gonna know what's next.
Yeah, and that is the reason I brought up like his previous films, because the one like with Adam Sandler, all of them, if you read like reviews of Judd Apatow films, they'll basically say something to the effect of had its laughs but fumbled the emotional moments, and it was too long. They're like because I think Funny People is longer than that.
Really?
Yeah, and there's the last act of Funny People, not to ruin it, but it's just fucking pretty piss poor. Like, but when I say that, that's I don't know.
I mean, I feel like he did the emotional side quite well. Like,
So this
I
film,
felt it like I can see why he would be, if he meant it, why he would be awkward to like show his emotions.
it was
Because you could see all his like comedic friends and like everyone that is probably in the comedy world, they all make fun of each other. So to find something that's like serious seems a bit like, oh shit, how
that's
do I do this?
very much like the best of times and the worst of times sort of thing. Like
What
if
do you
you're a
mean?
stand-up comedian,
Yeah.
you spend so much time making fun of things that you actually start to see
The beauty in them.
the beauty. But if you start seeing the beauty of things, you see darkness as well. That's like great beauty. That is as above, so below. Google that. Have a gander at that concept. The higher you go, you can only go. A great tree, the tallest tree's roots go deep down to the earth. So the juxtaposition of terminal illness and stand-up comedy makes for an experience where you see people expressing themselves in a great way. And then that's why I think his like his bombing experience when he, because this story is like Kumail's becoming honest, basically.
Yeah, because I
He
mean,
spend at the beginning of the film, he's lying about a load
everything.
of different aspects of his life, and it's a process of him coming to terms with himself. And for lack of a better term, I'm very sorry to be so vulgar, but him learning how to stop being a pussy.
Stop being a pussy.
Yeah, basically. So
I mean, I get it with the sort of like you don't want to lose your family.
but he should have known that any family worth their salt wouldn't actually kick him out.
No, of course.
There
not.
were numerous moments where it's like, and I guess the only reason that I would speak in a critical manner is because this is like real life,
Yeah.
which we'll get to my
Yeah.
final point, which is coming. But I love, obviously, all the moments in the film. Everyone was like pretty justified. I wouldn't argue in the way that people acted. He acted that way because he's like had this. The arranged marriage thing is stupid.
It
and
is stupid.
he's had that forced on him.
Yeah, it
The-
is stupid.
Emily's parents are under a lot of stress and don't know who this Kumail guy is, so there's like them acting that way, and then to find out that Ray Romano's character cheated on her, it explains all the insecurities. Everything makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't fault this film for that.
What can you fault it for then?
What I can fault this fucking film for, Martin, is
What's
like
wrong with it?
the rest of Judd Apatow's fucking directorial works, where it's like a comment on modern cinema. We have been so razzle-dazzled over the decades by Hollywood, and all the one of the first films like ever made, George Mellis, A Trip to the Moon.
Yeah.
We're intrinsically trying to create something on screen that can't be done in real life. That's the whole point of the medium. Like, it's to show, or to show things, you know, that's like what a myth, a story, a legend is to tell something fantastical, to say something. We have documentaries, and they are separate categories, and not, you know, that doesn't mean that things have to be extreme, but I think there's something about the nature of Hollywood that has probably generated a culture where we are sick of fantasy and being like razzle-dazzled more and more, not completely, but that is what the film industry was built out of. And now we actually like quite human stories, you know, with like shows like Black Mirror, and it's getting more and more about what's actually happening
Than it being mythical and
yeah, obviously there's still mythical.
Fantastical.
Yeah, there's still like mythical stuff around, but I'm talking about like you couldn't really have like a film like this like coming out of,
coming out of where, bro?
in my eyes, like the 50s or the 60s. This is a very
Oh no! I mean,
I had to think about it because
just even with the like main character, you can't really put this film out there. I don't think there would be any main characters that are of ethnic region.
well,
if you're like,
Pakistani descent. Yeah,
you wouldn't have it. Like
I
that
didn't
would
even
be
think about that.
that
angle
would
of
be
it.
the first no in the 50s anyway.
Yeah, so
Um,
it is very much a film of it. That's it's a good example of modern cinema. But just for me, like I can't say anything bad about it. It was fine. It did everything. I enjoyed it.
There's something nagging at you, and you can't like.
But it's
You
like
need to like be able to let it out.
yeah,
'cause
I'm
there's
trying
something-
to put it into words.
Was it the
It didn't
fucking-
challenge me.
challenge you? In
Yeah.
like
Okay.
what way do you want this film to challenge you? It sort of told you everything that it was meant to tell you.
Well, yeah, and it executed it reasonably well. And
So-
the story itself is a nice story, but it's the kind of story that like a customer might tell me at work. I can believe all of that, like actually happened. If someone told me that story, I'd be like, damn, like that's interesting, but I believe it. Whereas I'm looking for something to
I
push
see.
my boundaries
I
out.
see what you're getting at. I see what you're getting at. You like because you know that can happen. It doesn't interest you.
I suppose so, and it doesn't completely uninterest me
It just but it doesn't make you question
much.
the outside of the film. Like the story had a beginning, middle, and an end, and then that's it. Like you could see the whole like process. It started off good, shaky in the middle, ended quite well, and you know exactly that what it's meant to make you feel and how it's meant to like be viewed. That you don't need to question anything else. You're like,
It's
but
just
why does that make it? I'm not saying that it makes
good
the
or
film
bad aren't the words to
Yeah,
be
like-
using at all.
Why does that?
And as far as
If you were giving it a rating, what would it be?
3.54 out of 5.
3.54.
Yeah, something like that.
Why couldn't it be higher? 4.5, 4.7, 5. Do you know what I mean?
There's not many films that are a 5. What I would say about this film that I really did enjoy is the emotional development of the characters is palpable. There's something to be learned there in how these characters deal with their own shortcomings and improve themselves as people and try and they're all kind of trying to better themselves to a certain extent, and there's a lot of and the realism of it, you know, the way that the Kamal's parents, especially his mother, was acting,
Responded. Yeah.
I can completely empathize and see that. So that all of that resonates with me, and I understand Judd is a controversial character these days in the comedy world.
Is he?
Yeah, because he's considered, I don't know, very liberal and kind of with making these comedy films that aren't all people getting custard pie slapped in their face and like shit like that. People are saying, "Oh, you're trying to bring like
Real life stories into
identity and gender politics and all these real world things into his art." And yeah, that's causing friction with, I guess, comedians and stuff that are more wholly about comedy, because this world's like set in the comedy world, but it's not maybe intrinsically a comedy.
No. I mean, to me, and this will always be like true to me. Any film that can, I'm sure we talked about it before. Any film that can make me feel the way that it was intending to feel will always be a 5 to me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. It ticks that box.
yeah.
Certainly, it's like if you've that.
It's everything. It's everything I want from a film. If there was a cliffhanger right there and the second film was never made, I'll be like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, if they ended through like, oh, she's still in hospital, like, done, and you're like, okay, where's the rest?
I thought they were gonna pull some bullshit like that, and because, as I said before, he's tried to make many films like this, mixing comedy and real life emotional stuff to varying degrees of success. And we'll watch This Is 40 and we'll watch Funny People and see what you think, and King of Staten Island. But I think the latter, King of Staten Island, and this are his most successful attempts at doing so, is what I'd say. And because although this felt long, it did feel long.
It did feel a lot,
And
really long.
I would argue
It was weird.
that it could have been shorter. Again.
I mean,
that's always been the thing with these long Judd Apatow films that have all these emotional moments, and everyone's like, it's got to be shorter, man.
I don't certainly agree with that, because you have to see the whole process. I feel like if they cut some of the stuff out, it's just not gonna.
I feel like
some
the
of it's
ending,
not gonna make sense.
I think the ending ran long. I think, like, from. Well, that again, that just reminded me of what I was thinking of as this film was wrapping up, and I was like, okay, you've made this film, and it's not, you know, Hollywood magic, and it's all very relatable and real. But how are you going to end it? Are you going to do the classic Hollywood happy ending? Like, you've done this whole film of not relying on the Hollywood film tropes, and then we're going to tie a nice bow on it with a happy ending. Because that's really the crux of how these films, in previous films like this, maybe the film hasn't had the happy ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's trying to be a bit arty and a bit, not just do comedy. I don't know if we spoke about like Jonah Hill before.
Yeah.
And how he resents kind of being typecast as the super bad kid. He's trying to take himself a lot more seriously. Yeah, so Judd Apatow would fall into he wouldn't want to just be known for making like stupid films.
He wants to be known
to have some emotional depth to his work and stuff. So
and they do. I mean,
they do. They certainly do.
Yeah.
And
this one I've seen so far, and obviously the other ones, they do have that.
It's his own unique little thing. Like, I'll be able to point out an Apatow film. Always. Like, I know his style. I know what he's and they have like a distinct character to them. And
Yeah.
I think as time goes on, that will be remembered as like.
Well, you certainly hope so.
Yeah, I do. So yeah, that is. I think that's generally how that film made me feel.
Well, on that note, then, this has been It's Not That Deep, bro.
We need like a
Podcast.
porch.
A porch.
Yeah, for
Why?
the podcast. You know when like people have been at your house and you're sat talking to them in the lounge,
Yeah.
and then they're getting ready to leave, and you might walk them down like a hallway, and then you'll stand in the hall or the porch and chat to them for like, oh my god. Yeah, I'm all right, man. Well, this is what you need. This is professional shit here.
Yo, back once again, it's the Renegade Master. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
We're talking about the Big Sick, Judd
The Big
Apatow.
Sick.
He made Superbad. Oh no,
No.
film director.
Judd Apatow. Yeah.
Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
Mr.
Judge. Yeah.
You women are not saying it.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake,
I get what you mean.
Daryl and Voss. What did I say?
You were talking about we need a porch.
Oh yeah. We need like that. Segued nicely into us. What I was saying, because it's like all of a sudden we stand up and we're like, see ya, and then we walk out the people's house. We need like a something to happen, like a, I don't know, read a poem or like an announcement or something to
That's
end.
why I'm saying it. Oh, this has been.
I'm
it's
just
not
I'm
that
just
deep, bro.
thinking, you know, on the mic out loud what we could do to like a little. Obviously, we play songs sometimes, but that's at the very end. I'd love like one last activity to see us off.
You're gonna have to come up with something, bro. What you thinking?
Maybe next episode.
Rock paper scissors.
Well, yeah, maybe something or like a riddle or
TikTok. I don't know.
I don't know.
A riddle. I mean,
To
I'm
leave
like
people
that.
with. You know
I
what
like
I mean?
that, okay?
Something just to
give me a riddle, bro.
Oh, I can't do that now. This is the next episode. They don't. You ask me for a riddle straight up, man. That's crazy. I'm not the Riddler.
That's good. That's good. That's real good. And on that note, we'll end it right there. Catch us on the usual social medias, you know, at MIP LTD on Instagram and YouTube. And you can get us at our website at mipltd.org.
Because we're an organization.
That's right. And tell us what you thought of the film. If you watched the film, if you want to watch the film because of this podcast, let us know everything down below in the comments if you're on YouTube, anywhere else if you're not on YouTube. And any final thoughts?
Walnuts contain a lot of vitamin E that helps tighten your skin.
Good bit of information right there. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good night.
When I had nothing to say, you were a time and a place inside my head. And so you said I was reading the lines on my palm. Pianos by tarot cards and walking for 45 square. I'm stuck on a New York Times. Can I find ways to cry, ways to cry, ways to cry, ways to cry? 'Cause all that shit's changed, but your ghost still remains, sharp as the taste of the wine. dragging me back to New York time. Trying too hard to exist, I rewrite the summers we missed inside my head. 60% of the time I still try to pretend that I'm falling asleep in your bed. You're the reason why I'm stuck on a New York time. Can I find ways to cry, ways to cry, ways to cry, ways to cry? 'Cause all that shit's changed, but your ghost still remains, sharp as the taste of the wine, dragging me back to New York time. Dragging me back to New York dragging me back to New York time.